Laura, and this week on the show, we're going to be talking about why your coaching business isn't working. So if you're struggling to get clients, if you're struggling to meet your baseline financial needs to make your business financially viable, then this episode of the show is going to be for you. I know how frustrating it can be when you are doing all the things and you are trying your hardest and yet it's still not working, like the clients still aren't coming, things are feeling really sticky and heavy and it's just not working out the way that you want it to work out. And I know how frustrating that can be. So in this episode of the show, I wanted to share some of the things that I think people can just review in the business if they are struggling to make the coaching business work. So these are some things that you can review and ask yourself, is there anything I can do differently here? Is there anything that needs to shift or change? And I'm also going to talk about a couple of fundamental things that are a little bit harder to circumnavigate or to strategize your way out of as well. So before we get into some of those things, I just wanted to mention that I think it's useful to understand in what ways your coaching business is not working. Really, this episode of the show is geared up towards those coaches who are struggling to get clients, full stop, and who therefore are struggling to make the business financially viable. Sometimes I think we're sold this dream of the coaching business where it's multiple six figures and we are working like 5 hours a week from the beach and that's it. And if our coaching business is not that, then somehow we are failing. And that is not the case at all. If that's your version of success and you're not reaching it, then first of all, I'm probably not the business mentor for you because that's not my vibe. But I think this is really about a different kind of version of success, I think. And if you're not achieving like the very basic level of being able to get clients and make your business financially viable, then I really hope that this is going to be helpful for you. So something to consider is, are you basically getting in front of enough of the right people and connecting with them frequently enough? Now, this kind of like branches off into lots of different areas of business, really. This is like a marketing thing, there's like a connection thing, and there's like a volume of numbers thing a little bit as well. But I find that when we are not doing that, that's when our businesses can really struggle, because obviously if we're not getting in front of the right people and we're not connecting with them and we're not doing that often enough, we're going to struggle to get clients, basically. So this is something, and actually this is a good opportunity, I was going to keep this to the end, but this is a good opportunity to mention that I am running a free workshop on the 21st of September at 1 p.m. UK time on aligned marketing and client attraction. So if you want to basically understand what to do to get clients now, if you need to figure out what to do in your business so that you're future-proofing that flow of clients, and how to show up in your marketing authentically and to do it in alignment so that you're not doing shit that you hate, because no one wants to do that, and you want to get all of this stuff figured out in your business, do check that out. The links are going to be in the description, so do come and join that. Even if you can't make it live, you'll get the replay, and that will answer a lot of that. If you feel that's an issue that you have, then come along to that, and hopefully I will be answering a lot of your questions around that and helping you figure out what that needs to look like, if that's something. And often it's a volume thing. It's one of those things, sometimes we just need to connect with one person, the right person, and they're the right person who's going to sign up and work with us as a client. But there is also the element of not everyone who you connect with is going to become a client. So there is like a volume thing, like we need to be getting in front of enough people and we need to be getting in front of new people. And as your business continues on, we need to be reaching new people, basically. And if we're not doing that, we're going to struggle. So that's some of that I'm going to be addressing in that workshop. So do check that out. Another thing that I see people doing is they are spending their time in the business doing stuff that isn't actually going to move the needle. A typical thing that I see a lot of people do is they struggle to get coaching clients into their main coaching packages, and therefore they think, oh, I should create a course because a course can be cheaper and it's going to give me passive income, and people are more likely to sign up for a cheaper thing and it's going to be easier to sell. That does not work. Unfortunately, what tends to happen in that situation is that people spend ages creating a course where they haven't thoroughly tested out the processes, because they haven't worked with enough people one-to-one to test out what the processes look like. So it's a bit loose on terms of getting people outcomes. And then they still actually need like the volume of people to be connecting with and to be coming through the business to make that financially viable anyway. And all of the time that they've spent setting up this course and making this coursework, they could have been spending on actually marketing their main coaching package and getting people into that, which is actually more financially viable and is going to make them more money ultimately. So Sometimes people are spending the time like faffing, and I'm a major faffer, guys, to be honest, but people are procrastinating and they're doing the stuff that just isn't moving the needle. And again, like a lot of these things are based on stuff that I've done in the past. Like I haven't been perfect. There's a journey there, but it's really easy to just do stuff that isn't actually going to move the needle in your business. And when you're at that stage where you're not getting clients and you're not financially viable, often it's the market and stuff, and you're simply not putting the time that you have available into that, or perhaps the marketing feels really overwhelming and the marketing feels out of your comfort zone and a bit scary and you feel a bit vulnerable doing it, and naturally you pull away from that. And that was certainly me, and it still is to some degree. There's still things that like I still need to push myself to do, but it's part of the first stage if that is really just becoming aware of it. So that's something to see in yourself as well. What are you spending your time on? Are you actually spending your time doing stuff that's moving the needle? Are you trying to do too much? Is everything just a bit overcomplicated and not simplified enough? Again, that can really cause some stuff to come up too. And then another thing that is worth reviewing is your mindset. Now, I don't want to be one of these coaches who sits here and says, oh, the reason your business isn't working is because of your mindset and your mindset alone. I don't think that's the truth ever, but your mindset does come into everything. As a coach, I really believe that our mindset will play a part. So if you are struggling to comprehend why someone would pay you that amount of money for your services, if you don't believe that you can make this work, if you are, like I say, procrastinating, keeping yourself small, like on a really consistent basis where it's paralyzing you and you're not taking action, like doing some work around your mindset is worthwhile. It's worth looking at, absolutely, to see what's there and to see what limiting or protective beliefs are there that are keeping you small and safe and stopping you from doing the things that might lead to more business success. And often it is that case. It's like there's things that we could do that could make us more successful, but we're not doing them. And sometimes that's often a mindset thing. And this is where I am at my business in some ways. I know there's things that I can do that will help me push through to the next level, but I'm not doing them because there's a whole mindset set of things there, and that's just being human. But doing the mindset work and being willing to explore that is really going to help. I suppose connected to that is just how much of ourselves we are putting out there. So I think this is actually a messaging thing, I think. So when your niche is your niche, and this isn't that, but your messaging is kind of like the way that you approach your niche. So if your niche was helping busy mums with toddlers be healthier, the whole approach might be, I help you do things in 15-minute chunks. So 50-minute workouts, 50-minute recipes, that kind of thing. And that would be quite a compelling message. And you could share that. And I think sometimes when we're lacking that kind of compelling messaging behind what it is that we do, like that comes into that connection piece. When I was talking about getting in front of enough people and connecting with them and then being the right people, that's another element of it. Then that sometimes I think that comes in with the connection or the lack of connection, basically. Honestly, I could talk about a lot of stuff, and I really feel that part of what I do as a business mentor is about sitting down with clients and really looking at, okay, what's going on in your business and what needs to change, and really identifying all these things, because there's so many reasons why people might not be achieving the results that they want to achieve. Sometimes it's a business model thing, like it's a fundamental business model thing. It's the offers aren't right. Sometimes there is like an energetic level coming into it. Sometimes people are discounting shit all over the place without any strategy to it. There's all sorts of stuff that comes in, and certainly part of my role as a business mentor was helping people identify that on a much more individualized basis, and then doing things differently and trying other things out. But there's a few things I think that are really fundamental that do play into this, and the first one is structural stuff. Now, we all come into our businesses with different set of circumstances, a different set of privileges, a different set of access to resources, and that is going to impact how quickly our coaching businesses become successful. If I was like the daughter of a baron with lots of money behind me, my business would be successful much, much, much quicker than someone who does not have access to that level of resources or connections and things like that. That's not to say that if you don't have a lot of privilege or resources or connections that your coaching business will not be successful. That's not the case. It might just take more time, and it might just look different. Like your journey might just look different. I just think it's worth mentioning, because I feel like coaches who don't acknowledge this, I think that's a pretty shit, because we all have this. And certainly when it comes into like our race, our sexual orientation, and whether or not we are able-bodied or not, all of this stuff comes into that picture. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that, because it's going to be different for everybody and it's going to impact people in different ways. So just being aware that's a thing and that's going to impact your journey. And I do think there's ways that we can work with those things, but we need to acknowledge that they're there. And also when it comes to comparing ourselves to other people as well, I think that's a really important thing to acknowledge too. And then the final thing is time. And some things just take time, and that's just the way of it. Sometimes, particularly if you, like you say, if you don't necessarily have a lot of resources or connections and things, sometimes things are just going to take time. And if you're building a sustainable business from the ground up, it is going to take some time. I do feel like one of the benefits of working with a business mentor or a coach is that you can accelerate that process somewhat, because they should be able to advise and guide you in terms of what typically works for people in this industry and help you take action quicker as well, and hold you accountable and all of that kind of stuff. So I think there is ways to do that more quickly, but some things still just take time. And I was talking to one of my clients, and she'd just had I think she'd had booked one new client, she had a couple of new discovery calls booked in, and we were just talking about where those people had come from. And she was saying this person had been on my list for like 4 years or something, and it had taken that long for that person to be ready. And it's just, for a certain extent, like there is just this thing about things taking time, and the systems and things that we build just taking time, and people coming into those systems and things ramping up, it just takes time. And that's just the way of it, basically. And particularly when we talk about things like certain elements of marketing, they do just take time to kick in, they do take time to start to get results, and that's just normal. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that as well. And what I see some coaches do is that they lose heart just at the point when things are about to start picking up, and it's about how we can continue through that. Another thing that is absolutely worth mentioning is consistency. Now, I would love to be able to sit here and say you can build a successful business without being consistent, but I don't believe that's the truth. I think we have to be consistent in some way, shape or form for our businesses to be successful. I'm not talking about consistently showing up on Instagram, although that's an example, but you can post nothing on Instagram, but if you are consistent in something, it's going to pay results. It is going to get you results. So if you're showing up in your business every week, doing something to get in front of those people, we're talking about getting in front of the right people and connecting with them. If you are doing that on a consistent basis, you will get results. It's the consistency and the time, and lots of other things kind of bend into that. It's the right offers for the right people, the right ways of attracting them in. And again, this is where I really see my role as a business mentor, about helping people like figure all that out for them. But that's where it's at. So those are just some things to consider. If you are really frustrated with your coaching business not working right now, these are some things to think about. Please do come to the workshop on the 21st. I really think it would be helpful if that is you, and if you're struggling in that place right now. I think there'll be some really helpful things in the workshop for you. It's all killer, no filler. It's not one of those like workshops where I basically just waffle a load of shite at you. It's going to be really actionable. It is like a workshop. It's not just like a webinar. It's an actual workshop. And yes, I am selling something at the end of it, but if that's not for you, then I'm confident that you're going to get a lot of value from the actual workshop itself. Do check that out. But yeah, just think about each of those different things. Think about what's going on. And it might be for you that genuinely it's just a time thing. Now, if you have been working on your business for in excess of a year and things are still not working, then you probably do need some support. You do need someone to take an outside look at your business and help you see what's going on with it and make some tweaks and stuff in terms of how you're showing up and or what it is that you're doing, or what strategies and things you're using. I think realistically for most people, they can see like a really big shifts in the business within 6 months to a year. For me, when I started my business, it took me 2 years to go from zero to becoming full-time in my business. But I wasn't working with any mentors or anything at that point. So I really feel like that could be accelerated by working with someone. And yeah, and really I just want to say as well, like, I wouldn't be doing this job if I didn't honestly believe that the majority of you guys out there can make your coaching business work. But it will take time, and it will take consistency, and it will take passion, and it will take showing up. It's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing in the world, because to do a lot of this it's new, it's putting yourself out there, it's all of that stuff. But I honestly believe that you can do it. And if you are struggling, I see you, I really do. I have been where you've been. I know how frustrating it is. I know how it can make you feel. I know what that business model is. But if you're a coach and if you've trained as a coach and you have something that you desperately want to share with people and you really want to help people, then the business side of it, it'll catch up, it'll get there. And yeah, I think there's so many things that you can do, and I really believe that you can make it work. So I hope that has given you some things to consider and think about. If you want a bit more detail in all of this, do come to that workshop. And like I say, a lot of it does have to be personalised to the individual person and business, but I feel like these things that I've discussed, they will impact a lot of people, and they certainly have impacted me in the past as well, and still do to a certain degree. And it's not to say that if you struggle with any of these that your business isn't working, because there's a journey to be had there. That's the way that I look at it. So I hope that that's been helpful. I hope it's given you some things to think about and consider. And like I say, please do come along to the Aligned Marketing and Client Attraction Workshop if you want to dig into this in a bit more detail and get some really useful takeaways that you can take and implement in your business. Do come along to that. Again, the link is in the description box. And if you have any thoughts or feedback on this episode, please pop me a DM on Instagram. I'm at wholeheartedlylaura. Or if you're listening to this on the podcast, please leave a review, or YouTube, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment below as well. That would be amazing. And yeah, here's to having a successful business that meets all of our financial needs, that allows us to do work that we really enjoy doing, and that allows us to have a lifestyle that we desire as well. And that is really all. That's my bag. That's what I help people with. So I really hope that that's been useful, just to give you some things to consider. And I will see you next week, guys. Take care. Bye.